हजरत ख्वाजा संग खेलिए धमाल हजरत ख्वाजा संग खेलिए 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 धमाल हजरत ख्वाजा संग खेलिए धमार बाए
The streams of thought in the late 14th and 15th century reflected a change in the spiritual mood and literary tempo of the Sufi saints.
बना बना
The Chishtiya Silsila was added a new dimension by the contributions of Mir Sayyid Ashraf Jahangir Simnani, who came from Simnan, a town in Persia, at the age of 23. The Sayyid, who settled in the hamlet of Kichocha in Uttar Pradesh, came here after visiting the Sufi centers in Iran, Iraq, and Central Asia, where he had been the disciple of Alauddaulah Simnani, the Central Asian Kubravi saint. It was in the late 14th century that Simnani and Sayyid Ali Hamdani migrated to India. The Dargah of the Sayyid stands reflectively, contemplating on the times of the Chishtiya saint. Ashraf Simnani popularized the use of the Persian term Hama-ust, thus emphasizing that anything other than God did not exist. Ashraf Jahangir wrote extensively on spiritual matters. He, however, was also a trained exorcist, and till today, Kichocha Sharif is a center for the mentally disturbed to find solace and peace. The writings of Ashraf Jahangir Simnani marked the shift of the Chishtiya Silsila towards fervous discussion, which has been greatly influenced by the Persian poets. Another Chishtiya saint, Sayyid Gesudaraz of Gulbarga, adopted views contrary to those of the earlier Chishtiya saints. Sayyid Gesudaraz, who came to Gulbarga, a town in the south of India, at the age of 82, was one of the most distinguished among Sheikh Nasiruddin Chirag-e-Dilli's disciples. The most important aspect of Sufism to Gesudaraz was simplification of the self and an exclusive interest in God.
The most reliable source for his being surnamed as Gesudaraz is related by Sayyid Ashraf Jahangir Simnani of Kachocha Sharif. So in one of his letters, he has mentioned the Sayyid families who were living in India during that time. And in that he mentions that there is one family here of Gesudaraz who comes from Khurasan, his ancestors, and in Khurasan itself his family was known, Gesudaraz's family was known as Sadat-e Diraz-e-Gisu, meaning Sayyids with long locks. And he says that Gesudaraz got his name not in India but in his native town.
A significant feature of the Khanqa of Sayyid Gesudaraz was the Pir-Murid relationship like the Guru-Chela relationship in Indian mysticism. It signifies a triangular concept between God, the preceptor, and his disciple. Gesudaras further explains that the imagery of the sun in clear water is vivid, but it cannot be reflected if it shines on an opaque wall. The peer is like the waves, and the walls are like the disciple. If the wall stands next to the water, the sun might be reflected on it through the water. Gesudaras's writings include those in Arabic, Persian, and even Sanskrit. His books are today housed in the library at Gulbarga. The Dargah also houses other relics of the Prophet, may peace be upon him, which are only opened once a year for thousands of pilgrims to see. The relics are the athar, or effects of the Prophet, may peace be upon him. They include the footmarks of the Prophet, may peace be upon him, a ring worn by Ali, and the calligraphic writings of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, the grandsons of the Prophet, may peace be upon him. It is not, however, known when and how these relics came to Gulbarga.
He has been the first Sufi in India to have propagated non-pantheistic Sufism, for which Ahmad Sirhindi is known, and he is sort of a precursor to Ahmad Sirhindi.
Khwaja Bahauddin Naqshband died in 1389 and was buried at the Qasr-e-Arfan near Bukhara. His tomb had become a thriving rendezvous for Sufis and other Muslims. People of all sections come to this tomb. Today the people of Bukhara remember the teachings of the great saint and also of one of his disciples, Khwaja Nasiruddin Ubaidullah Ahrar. In fact, the Indian Naqshbandiyas traced a spiritual descent from him. When Babur came to India in 1526, it gave considerable impetus to the development of the Naqshbandiya order. The disciples at the Khanqahs are taught the principles of the Naqshbandiya Silsila. Seekers of Jawahid should strive to dedicate themselves to the Prophet, may peace be upon him, that their entire selves, including their hearts, are devoid of anything but God.
The Naqshbandiya Silsila is still one of the most popular in Central Asia. This order came into India through Khwaja Baqi Billah of Kabul, who had spent considerable time at Samarkand. It was left to his disciple, Ahmad Sirhindi, to make the Naqshbandi Silsila popular in India. Ahmad Sirhindi gave the Silsila a distinctive ideology, a motive power, and an effective organization. And the Silsila flourished for 2 centuries from the 15th century onwards. He propounded his theory of Wahadat al-Shuhud, or unity of the phenomenal world.
Ahmad Sirhindi spent a few months with Khwaja Baqi Billah in Delhi. He then returned to Sarhind in Punjab, where he withdrew from the world to lead a puritanically orthodox life. Ahmad Sarhindi, also known as Mujadidi Alfi Thani, or the reformer of the second millennium, expanded the order such that his disciples reached every town and city of India. Ahmad Sarhindi gave the Naqshbandiya Silsila a distinct ideology, and Khwaja Baki Billah firmly believed that the seed of mystical achievements brought from Bukhara and Samarkand and sown in Indian soil would blossom due to Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. The Naqshbandiyas developed a dynamic and assertive outlook. Contact with the rulers and the state was encouraged. He disassociated himself from Sama. His followers till today come to his mazar in the beautiful town of Sarhind from all over the world. Khwaja Masoom, whose mazar is near his father's, continued to increase the influence of the Naqshbandiya order in India. On the Urs of Khwaja Masoom, people come from all parts of the world. Continuing with Naqshbandiya Silsila, there is, however, no sama, only offerings by the people themselves. Today, the town of Sarhind is a center of pilgrimage for the Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims alike. The Dargah is also called Madina Sani, or the second Medina. The Naqshbandiya Silsila is very popular in Central Asia, Afghanistan, Turkey, Syria, and parts of the Indian subcontinent like Kashmir. A prominent Naqshbandiya who left his mark on the Muslims of Kashmir was Khwaja Khwand Mahmud Naqshbandi, who had descended from one of the disciples of Khwaja Bahuddin Naqshband. Khwaja Khwand performed ascetic exercises at the tomb of Khwaja Naqshband. Thereafter, he was given the responsibility of doing missionary work for the Naqshbandiya Silsila. By a divine act of God, the Khwaja found himself in Kashmir. The Khwaja's name spread far and wide. Until today, he is revered as the greatest Naqshbandiya saint in Kashmir. The other saints who made a mark in Kashmir are Ali Ahmad Hamdani, a saint who had come to India from Central Asia along with Sayyid Ashraf Jahangir Simnani. Like his peer, Hamdani wrote extensively on theoretical and philosophical issues.
وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام
The Firdausiya Silsila in India was established by Badr al-Samarkandi. Bihar emerged as the chief center of the Firdausiya Silsila. Shaifuddin Yahya Maneri emerged as the chief propagator of the Firdausiya Silsila. He was an erudite scholar and believed in the Unitarian theory of everything is him.
At Maner, a tiny village away from Patna, is the place of birth of the Firdausiya saint Sharfuddin Yahya Maneri. This edifice houses the tomb of Sheikh Yahya Maneri, the father of Sharfuddin Maneri. As with the trends of the 14th century, the saint wrote profusely on a range of mystical experiences within Islam in the Maktubat-e-Sadi, or the 100 Letters. No other saint of medieval India has inspired as many literary writings as this Firdausiya saint. Just outside this edifice is the house where Sharfuddin was born. At a young age, he sought enlightenment from the Firdausiya saint Najibuddin Firdausi. On his return to Bihar, Sharfuddin became so dazzled by the lights of insight that he spent 15 to 20 years in the jungles of the Rajgir hills. Amidst lush green trees, the green tomb dargah of Shah Waris at Deva Sharif brings into its fold the vibrant traditions of Hindus and Muslims alike. Shah Waris, being a 20th century saint, was in fact liberal in his belief and welcomed people of all religions into the fold of Varsis, an order established by him. On the Urs of the saint, people merge at the dargah in a feeling of oneness. In fact, the traditions of Hindus and Muslims are amalgamated such that there is no difference. It was devotion that was propagated rather than the orthodox tenets of Islam. Sama or Qawwali was a form of devotional prayers which attracted the Hindus as they were familiar with kirtans and bhajans.
महबूब रब्बुल आलमीन वारिसे अस्सलाम शान अल्लाह हुस्मद अच्छे औरों के और बुरे सब मेरे मेरे वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम पाएगा मेरे वारिस का फरमान वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम काहेगा वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम काहेगा अच्छे अच्छे औरों के और मेरे वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम काहेगा वारिस का फरमान अरे हमारे वारिस का फरमान अरे हमारे वारिस का फरमान हमारे वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम काहेगा वारिस का फरमान तो फिर गम काहेगा
Sufism today is an amalgam of the tenets of the various rivers of thought that merge into an ocean of belief. This ocean of belief is reflected in the saints of the 20th century. This trend has been carried on in the Khanqa of Sufi Liaquat Hussain in Bahsori, a hamlet in northern Uttar Pradesh. The Urs is celebrated as the Chiraga, or the lighting of 1,000 earthen lamps. People join in to light up the entire edifice, in fact reminding one of the Hindu festival of Diwali. The Peer initiates the lighting ceremony, accompanied by chantings from the Holy Quran. He places the first diya on the mazar of his ancestor. It is followed by the Sama and dancing by the Murids called Raqs. It is believed that for some, Raqs is to achieve ecstasy, while for others, it follows ecstasy. The Chiraga is truly an exemplar of devotion and belief of the Murid in the saint, who is believed to be the route to salvation.